Good morning, grade 6 learners. Today is June 23, 2021, and we still have 191 days left before the end of this year. Welcome again in another science terrific day of learning fun and new exciting facts about the movements of the Earth. I'm Sir Leslie, and you are watching here in the Valenzuela FB Live. You now know the drill, grade 6 learners. Before we start, comment down your name and the name of your school. You may also type your answers and questions that are related to our topic in our comment box below. And please prepare your science module, notebook, and ballpen for taking down some important ideas. For today's lesson is based on the most essential learning competencies in Science 6. Differentiate between rotation and revolution and describe the effects of the Earth's motion. And at the end of our lesson, learners should be able to infer that seasons change due to Earth's revolution, and explain the sequence of seasons in relation to revolution. Now, last FB Live, we have discussed or we learned about the rotation. And rotation is the spinning movement of the Earth on its own axis from the west to east direction. Also, the tilt of the Earth causes variation in day and nighttime at different places on the Earth. So, what do you think will happen when the Earth moves around the sun? You're right. We will experience variation in temperature, weather, and seasons. Rotation and revolution are the two movements of the Earth. Again, rotation is the spinning movement of the Earth on its axis, while the revolution is the movement of the Earth around the sun. The Earth not only spins at its position, but also moves around the sun at the same time. So the Earth completes one revolution around the sun in 365 and 1/4 days. Earth's rotation and revolution result to different amount of solar energy received by different parts of the world. So the part of Earth facing directly the sun receives vertical rays, while the parts that curve away from the sun receive slanting rays. So because the Earth's equator and the plane of its orbit are not aligned, different parts of the Earth receive the direct rays of the sun at different times of the year. The rotation and tilting of the Earth's axis and its revolution around the sun causes the different seasons on the different parts of the Earth. Earth has different regions as the equators divide the northern and southern hemisphere. So this is the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere. So each hemisphere has this so-called temperate region and tropical regions. So the tropical regions are the regions of the Earth near the equator. And between the Tropic of Cancer in the northern hemisphere and the Tropic of Capricorn in the southern hemisphere. The word tropical specifically means places near the equator. It is also sometimes used in general sense for a tropical climate. A climate is warm, a climate that is warm to hot and moist year round. How about the temperate regions? Temperate regions are part of the Earth's surface between the Arctic Circle and the Tropic of Cancer, or between the Antarctic Circle and the Tropic of Capricorn. So, temperate means not too hot and not too cold, and most of the countries in the temperate region experience 4 distinct seasons, namely the winter, the spring, the summer, and autumn. So let us learn more about how and when these 4 seasons and in the temperate regions occurs. A while ago, we learned that rotation and tilting of the Earth's axis and its revolution around the sun causes different seasons on the different parts of the world. Let us start. On June 21 or 22, the northern hemisphere faces the sun. The vertical rays strike 23½ north, the Tropic of Cancer. So the places at the northern polar region have 24 hours of daytime, and the rest of the northern hemisphere has longer daytime than night. It is summer on these places. And at the other side, the southern hemisphere, nights are longer. So, it is winter. The places beyond 66½ degrees south have a 24-hour nighttime. The longest day or summer solstice occurs usually on June 22. On this day, the North Pole is tilted towards the sun. The north temperature zone receives more direct sunlight, causing the hot temperature during the season. As the Earth continues to revolve, the vertical rays of the sun move southward from the Tropic of Cancer to the equator. On September 21 or 22, the vertical rays of the sun strike the equator. And daytime is as long as night in all places of the earth. It is autumn in the northern hemisphere and spring in the southern hemisphere. So, the hours of daytime and nighttime are equal. This is called the autumnal equinox. It occurs from September up to November. On this season, you will notice that trees are changing to their autumn colors. So, tree leaves may turn from green to brown, red, yellow, orange, and gold. As the Earth moves eastward, the vertical rays of the sun move southward from the equator. On December 21 or 22, the vertical rays strike 23 and 1/2 degree the Tropic of Capricorn. The South Pole has 24 hours of daytime, and the rest of the southern hemisphere has longer day than night. It is summer. And at the other side, the northern hemisphere, nights are longer. It is winter. So the North Pole has 24-hour nighttime. The winter solstice. During this season, the Earth's north's temperate zone is tilted away from the sun and receive slanted rays of sunshine. So by this season, the days are very cold. December 22 is the shortest day of the year, meaning there will be more hours of nighttime than daytime. Then, as the Earth continues to its journey around the sun, the vertical rays move northward from the Tropic of Capricorn toward the equator. On March 21 or 22, the vertical rays of the sun strikes now the equator. So there is equal length of daytime and nighttime anywhere on Earth. It is spring up in the northern hemisphere and autumn in the southern hemisphere. On March 22, there will be 12 hours of daytime and nighttime, signifying spring equinox. So the Earth has traveled 3/4 of its way around the sun. It is also cold during this season, but not as cold as winter. So the plants and trees starts to sprout blossoms and tiny green leaves. The two movements, the rotation and revolutions, create variation in temperate region, variation in temperature, weather, and in the seasons. So we have the summer solstice from June 20 to 21, the autumnal equinox during September 22 to 23, and a winter solstice during December 21 or 22, and spring equinox during March 21 or 22. Very good, grade 6 learners. You may now tap the heart reaction button if you clearly understand our discussion about the rotation and revolution of the Earth. And now, let's try this activity. Just choose the letter of the correct answer and comment it down in our comment box below. Are you ready? Question number 1. How long does Earth complete its revolution around the sun? A, 24 hours. B, 24 days. C, 365 days. D, 365 and 1/4 days. 5 seconds. The correct answer is letter D, 365 days, 365 and 1/4 days. Question number 2. Which of the following is true? A, the Earth rotates on its axis as it revolves around the Sun. B, the Sun revolves around the Earth while Earth is rotating. C, Earth rotates once a month as it revolves around the Sun. Or letter D, Earth completes one rotation in 365 days. Comment down your answer. Alright, the correct answer is letter B. The Sun revolves around the Earth while Earth is rotating. Let's go to question number 3. When is the longest daytime in the northern hemisphere? A, June 21 or 22. B, September 21 or 22. C, December 21 or 22. Or D, March 21 or 22. What is the answer? The correct answer is letter A, June 21 or 22. Last 2 questions. So in question number 4, what is the season in the northern hemisphere when Earth's axis is tilted toward the Sun? I repeat the question. What is the season in the northern hemisphere when Earth's axis is tilted toward the Sun? A, summer. B, autumn. C, spring. Or D, winter. What is your answer? Comment down your answer. And the answer is letter A, summer. And for our last question, which parts receive the vertical rays of the Sun on December? A, equator. B, Tropic of Cancer. C, Tropic of Capricorn. Or D, North Pole. 5 seconds. The correct answer is, alright, letter C, the Tropic of Capricorn. Very good, grade 6 learners. I know that you really understand our lesson for today about variations of temperature, weather, and seasons caused by the rotation and revolutions of the Earth. For our hashtag, Ask Your Science Teacher Time, you can ask me some questions about our topic, and I will do my best to answer them. So you may now start typing your questions about the rotation and revolutions of the Earth. I will wait for your questions. For our question number 1, we have a question from our viewer. Sir, is snow in the Philippines possible? Very good question. According to Pag-asa, and obviously, it is not possible for Philippines to experience snow. But in some circumstances, ice or the real ice could fall from the sky in the form of hailstones. Hailstones are ice pellets that land on the ground or that land to the ground same as snow. But hailstorms are formed within thunderstorms as they are produced in cumulonimbus clouds. An example is that the event in Quezon City, a neighboring city of the capital city of the Philippines, last April 2013. So, however, hailstones are somewhat dangerous. The residents were even advised to stay in their homes until hailstones stopped coming. This is because hailstones are solid and more likely ice and can hurt anything it would fall upon. All right, I think I answered your question correct. For our question number 2, sir, do you think climate change is affecting our seasons? Excellent question. So the effect of seasons of a changing climate are already being seen across the country and vary region to region. Temperatures have risen across seasons. Growing seasons have become longer. Precipitations patterns have changed, and extreme precipitations events have increased in frequency and severity. Climate change is a global phenomenon, but we can feel its effect on the local scale. Warmer temperatures means that our seasons will shift in unfamiliar ways, causing harmful changes to our ecosystem, wildlife, and human health. Okay, I think for our last question, sir, when is the Philippines recorded hottest temperature? Data from Pag-asa showed that the hottest temperature in the country was recorded in Tuguegarao, a part of Cagayan, on April 22, 1912, and May 11, 1969, at 42.2 degrees Celsius. So in Metro Manila, the hottest temperature was registered at 38.6 degrees Celsius on May 17, 1915. Thank you for participating in our discussion. I know that you really enjoy our lesson today. And sadly, we don't have enough time to answer all your questions today. But I know that your science teachers in your school will help you with this. So don't forget to attend your virtual class tomorrow. But before we end our discussion, let us sum up the important points in our lesson and remember the following. The spinning movement of the Earth on its axis in a west to east direction is called rotation, while the movement of the Earth around the Sun on its orbit is called revolution. One complete rotation is equal to 1 day or 24 hours, while Earth's 1 year or exactly 365 and 1/4 days to revolve completely around the Sun. So, next, the two movements, the rotation and revolutions, create variations of temperature, weather, and in the seasons. We have 4 different seasons, namely summer, winter, autumn, and spring. And for our homework, answer the activities in your 4th quarter module in science on page 83, 86 to 87. Once again, I'm Sir Leslie, leaving you with a quote. We cannot change the circumstances, the seasons, or the wind, but we can change ourselves. Thank you for listening, and see you again next week for another Science Terrific episode here in Valenzuela FB Live.